Someone asks you what you do, and you answer in one sentence. Not what you enjoy, not what you value, not what you're working toward. Just a job title, a company name, a number on a business card. And most people don't think twice about that answer. It feels normal. It feels true. It feels like the most obvious question in the world deserves the most obvious answer. But here's the question nobody asks. What happens to you financially the moment that job title becomes who you are? Because once your identity gets welded to your career, something dangerous starts happening with your money. You stop making decisions based on what actually serves your life. You start making decisions based on what protects your image. And those are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. One of them builds a future. The other one just maintains a performance. Today, we are going to break apart the belief that your job is who you are and show you exactly how much that belief is quietly costing you, dollar by dollar, decision by decision. We're going to walk through how this trap gets built without you noticing, the specific places it drains your bank account, why it's almost invisible from the inside, and exactly what to do instead. This is not a video about quitting your job. This is not a video telling you to stop caring about your career. This is a video about the identity trap sitting underneath your bank account, the one nobody warns you about, and how to finally see it clearly enough to stop paying for it. Let's get into it. Nobody sits down one day and decides to attach their identity to their career. Nobody wakes up and says, starting today, I will become my job title. It happens slowly, in 100 small moments you never notice, each one small enough to feel completely harmless. It starts with a compliment. Someone says, "You're so good at what you do," and it feels good. It feels like being seen. So you lean into it a little more. You start showing up a little sharper, a little more polished, a little more identified with the role. It continues with a promotion, a new title, a little more authority, a little more recognition in the room. People start listening slightly differently when you speak. Your opinion carries a little more weight in meetings, and each time the title gets a little heavier, a little more central to how you see yourself, until you stop noticing where you end and the title begins. Then it becomes a habit. You introduce yourself at parties with your job first, before your name even finishes leaving your mouth. You measure your worth against your job performance, checking your value the same way you check a stock price. A bad quarter at work starts to feel like a bad month as a person, not just a bad month at the office. By the time you notice what's happened, if you ever notice at all, the job is not just something you do anymore. It is something you are. It has stopped being a chapter of your life and started being the entire book. And here is where it gets expensive. Once your identity is tied to the job, you start making financial decisions to protect that identity, not to build your future. Every purchase becomes a small renewal payment on a story you're telling about yourself. And stories, unlike investments, do not compound in your favor. Let's talk about exactly how this shows up in your bank account, because it shows up in 3 specific ways, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. The first way is the wardrobe. When your job becomes your identity, you feel pressure to dress the part every single day, not just when it matters, not just for the big meeting or the client dinner, but constantly, as a kind of daily armor. The watch, the shoes, the bag, not because you need them to function, but because showing up as anything less feels like showing up as less of a person. The wardrobe stops being clothing and starts being evidence. The second way is the car. Your job title whispers that you need to drive something that matches it, something that announces your position before you even step out of it. Not something that fits your budget, something that fits your image. So you finance a car payment that exists purely to support a story you're telling about who you are, a story that costs you $400 or $500 a month to keep printing. The third way is the refusal to downgrade. This one is the most expensive of all because it doesn't show up as a single purchase. It shows up as every purchase you never made in a different direction. When your identity is your job, you cannot imagine taking a slightly smaller role for better hours, or a slightly lower salary for less stress, even when the math clearly favors it, even when your health is quietly asking you to. Because in your mind, that is not a financial decision. That feels like erasing who you are. Notice something about all three of these. None of them are about your actual needs. They are about protecting a story, and stories are expensive to maintain, especially the ones that require constant new chapters just to stay believable. Let's go deeper on one specific version of this, because it catches almost everyone, even people who think they're immune to it. The promotion trap. You get promoted, the salary goes up, and almost immediately, your spending goes up to match it. Not because your life requires it, but because your new title requires it. Or at least, that is what it feels like from the inside. A new title comes with an unspoken uniform. Senior managers are supposed to drive certain cars. Directors are supposed to live in certain neighborhoods. Vice presidents are supposed to vacation in certain places. Nobody ever says this out loud in a meeting. Nobody puts it in your offer letter. But somehow, everyone in the room already knows it. Nobody hands you a memo that says this, but you feel it anyway. In the way people glance at your shoes, in the way a coworker mentions their new car with just a little too much emphasis, in the tiny social cues that tell you what your new rank is supposed to look like from the outside. And so every promotion becomes an invitation to spend more, disguised as a reward for earning more. The two get so tangled together that most people cannot tell the difference between celebrating an achievement and financing an image. Here is the part that should bother you. The raise was supposed to build your wealth. Instead, it became a subscription to a lifestyle that matches a title. And subscriptions renew automatically, whether you're using them or not. You don't cancel the bigger apartment when the excitement of the promotion wears off. You don't downgrade the car once the new title feels normal. The upgrade becomes the new floor, never the ceiling. And the next promotion just raises the floor again. This is how someone can double their income over 10 years and end up with less financial security than when they started, because every raise got absorbed the moment it arrived, like water poured onto sand. And it doesn't stop at one promotion, it compounds. The second promotion upgrades with the first promotion already normalized. The apartment that once felt like an upgrade now feels like the bare minimum. The car that once felt exciting now feels slightly embarrassing next to a colleague's newer model. Each rung of the ladder resets what enough means, and it never resets downward. This is why so many people who look successful on paper describe their finances privately as feeling exactly as tight as they did 5 promotions ago. The numbers changed, the tightness didn't. If this is so damaging, why doesn't everyone notice it happening? Why does someone making a great salary still feel a quiet, constant financial pressure they can't quite explain? Because identity-based spending never feels like spending. It feels like maintenance. It feels like keeping up appearances that already exist, not creating new ones. Your brain is remarkably good at inventing practical-sounding reasons for decisions that are actually emotional. You don't think, I'm buying this car to protect my ego. You think, I need a reliable car for my commute, even though the car costs 3 times more than reliability requires. Even though a car half the price would get you to work at exactly the same time every single day. You don't think, I'm dressing this way to prove something. You think, this is just what people in my position wear, as if the position itself came with a forced expense report, as if the job description secretly included a clothing budget nobody mentioned during the interview. The spending gets dressed up in practical language. But underneath the practical language is a much simpler truth. You are paying every single month to maintain a version of yourself that other people can recognize and approve of. And approval, unlike an index fund, does not pay you back. Now here's what's interesting. The people who build real wealth almost always figure this out earlier than everyone else, sometimes by accident, sometimes through a painful lesson, but they figure it out. They separate 2 questions that most people accidentally merge into one. Question 1, what does my job pay me? Question 2, who am I? For most people, those questions blur together until they feel like the same question, until answering one automatically answers the other. For wealth builders, they stay completely separate, Two different filing cabinets that never get mixed up. This is why you'll meet people worth millions of dollars driving a car that is 10 years old, dents and all, radio still playing static on one station. Not because they can't afford better, because their identity was never renting space in the car in the first place. The car does a job. It does not tell a story. This is why some of the highest earners you'll ever meet live in houses smaller than their salary would allow. Houses that would look completely unremarkable next to their bank statements. Their sense of self was never for sale to a real estate listing, and they never felt the pull to prove anything to a neighborhood. They understood something most people never stop to question long enough to notice. Your job is where you spend your time. It is not the answer to who you are. And once that separation is clear, spending decisions stop being about defending a story and start being about actually building something that lasts. Ask any of them directly, and they'll usually struggle to even explain how they got there. It rarely comes from a single dramatic decision. More often, it comes from one early moment where the story and the bank account pulled in opposite directions, and they chose the bank account just once. That one choice made the next one slightly easier, and the one after that easier still, until eventually, the identity had quietly moved somewhere the spending couldn't reach it anymore. Okay, so how do you actually do this? How do you separate your identity from your income without pretending your career doesn't matter? Without pretending you don't care about doing good work? Step 1. Notice the sentence you use to introduce yourself. If it starts with your job title, that is not wrong, but it is worth noticing. Try answering with something else sometimes. What you're building, what you're learning, what you care about outside of work. Give your identity more than one room to live in, because a house with only one room gets very expensive to furnish and defend. Step 2. Before any purchase tied to your job, ask one honest question. Would I still want this if nobody at work ever saw it? If the honest answer is no, you have just found an identity purchase disguised as a practical one. This single question, asked consistently, will save most people thousands of dollars a year without requiring a single spreadsheet. Step 3. Get comfortable imagining a version of your life with a smaller title and a bigger bank account. Not because you need to take that path, but because if the idea makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is telling you something honest about where your identity actually lives. Sit with that discomfort instead of running from it. It's giving you real information. Step 4. Let your savings rate, not your job title, become the number you're proud of. A title can be taken from you in one meeting, one restructuring, one bad quarter that has nothing to do with your performance. A strong savings rate cannot be taken from you by anyone. It belongs entirely to you, built by your decisions, immune to office politics. Here's what happens to the person who never does this work. Every promotion becomes a new financial obligation instead of a new financial opportunity. Every raise gets absorbed by a lifestyle upgrade before it ever reaches an investment account. Every year, the income goes up and the net worth stays exactly where it started, sometimes even falling behind as the obligations quietly compound in the wrong direction. And underneath all of it is a quiet, growing fear. Not the fear of being broke, the fear of being seen as broke, or worse, being seen as ordinary, as replaceable, as someone whose whole identity might not survive a smaller paycheck. That fear will spend your entire paycheck before your values ever get a vote. It will finance the car, fund the wardrobe, upgrade the apartment, all before you've had a single honest conversation with yourself about what you actually want your life to look like 10 years from now. And the cruelest part is that this fear rarely gets quieter with more income. It gets louder, because a bigger salary just means there's more room to spend defending the story, and more people watching to see whether the story holds up. Someone making $40,000 a year and someone making $400,000 a year can both be trapped in exactly the same identity spiral, just wearing different price tags. The size of the paycheck was never the variable that mattered. The size of the fear was. So here's the real question underneath everything we talked about today. If your job title disappeared tomorrow, If the business card, the title, the corner office, the parking spot, all of it vanished overnight, would you still know who you are? If the answer feels shaky, that is not a character flaw. That is just a sign of where the work needs to happen next. Almost everyone's answer feels a little shaky the first time they actually ask themselves this question honestly. Your job can be something you are excellent at. It can be something you're proud of. It can even be something you love. But the moment it becomes the entire foundation of your identity, your money stops working for your future and starts working for your image. And image, unlike wealth, never stops asking for more. Separate the two questions. What do I earn and who am I? The moment you do, your spending starts answering to your actual life instead of somebody else's approval. And that shift alone will change more about your finances than any budgeting app ever could. If this changed how you think about your paycheck, hit subscribe. Every week, we break down one more piece of the money puzzle nobody explained to you growing up. I'll see you in the next one.